Hi, and welcome to another mental health podcast with Sporting Communities. Sporting Communities are a community interest company. We are an ethical, non-for-profit organisation which services range from sports coaching, youth work, mentors and family support. We are a training academy delivering a range of qualifications, and we also have art and play services. Today's podcast, we're going to focus on what the current situation is now that lockdown has been extended for another 3 weeks. How we're all feeling about it, and what we think the country will look like when we come out of lockdown. So just to introduce myself again, I'm James. I've been with Sporting Communities for just over a year now. I do coaching out in the community, helping kids get involved, and just trying to put a smile on people's faces, really. Today I've got Ed and Mim with me. So if you'd both like to do a quick introduction, just tell everyone who you are again, and how you found the last week.
Hi, I'm Ed. I work for Sporting Communities. I'm also a sports coach, personal trainer and a badminton coach. I like getting out into the community, working with the kids and young people, really just getting them involved in sport and having a good time.
Hi, my name's Mim. I've been with Sporting Communities for just under a year now. I'm a youth engagement worker, so I go out into the community and engage with young people in different locations.
Perfect. Fantastic. So we're going to have a look at this week is now lockdown has been extended for another 3 weeks, how we are all coping with that personally, the things that we're still doing to fill our time, and looking forward, basically what do we think the country is going to look like when we come out of lockdown. So starting with you, Ed, how did you take the news when it came out last week about lockdown being extended? Was it something that you were expecting? What have you been doing to fill your time? And what do you think the country will look like at the end of potentially the 3 weeks or longer if it gets extended again?
Yeah, so it's more of just a routine for me now, watching the news and the regular daily speeches. So I did expect it. Yeah, I thought it would be around that week, extra 3 weeks. I thought it was going to be a bit longer, to be honest. I think everyone's speculating throughout the time before the speech came up that it was going to be till the start of June. So yeah, I was expecting it. Wasn't too disheartened by it. I think that a lot of people try and overestimate the time. So when the news does come out, they feel a bit better that, I was expecting the June, but now it's only, I think, is it the 11th or 15th of May? It's now at. So yeah, I was expecting it. Wasn't too disheartened by it, but obviously it's still not great news. To fill my time, again, I'm lucky having work on, so been busy in the daytimes, working evening times. Again, just probably watching films again, going out in the garden, and just trying to do some different workouts and keep busy really as much as possible. So not a lot's changed really in terms of what I've been doing.
Yeah, fantastic. I think the key thing that came out from lockdown being extended last week was that actually nothing changes. I think we've all kind of got used to the current situation of the world at the moment, and we're all dealing with that in our own ways. So I think it's important that, yes, it's been extended for another 3 weeks, but actually we're all still here, we're all still doing our things, and we're all finding a way, either working from home or doing whatever we're doing to occupy that time. So if we've got to do that for another 3 weeks to get through to the end of this, I don't think that's the end of the world. So yeah. I know it's hard for everyone, and I myself have found it hard at times during the last 3 weeks, but if we can all get through this together and get to the other end, I think it's definitely going to be worth it. So
yeah, this time round's not been as much as a shock really, like you say, because we've had that initial 3-4 weeks, an extra 3 now. It's not, like you say, people are used to it. It's just extending what already is. But hopefully at the end of this 3 weeks, I think people are going to have a bit more hope at the end of this 3 weeks that things are going to start getting back to normal. Whereas I thought everyone sort of expected it to get extended at first anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And how about you, Mim? How are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I've not taken it too hard, to be honest, because I think I found myself getting into more of a routine now. So it's been a lot easier to sort of take that news. I think it's about remaining positive as well, in the sense of enjoying the smaller things and remembering that it's not that we're stuck at home, we are safe at home. So if it needs to be that it's extended for another 3 weeks, then that's for the good of everyone. It's going to do a lot of good. So it's about remaining positive about it.
Yeah, I think something you just said there I actually really liked. I think that it's not being stuck at home, it's being safe at home. I think that's a key point actually. And I think if we all looked at it that way, of I'm not stuck in my house, I'm safe in my house, I think that is so much more of a positive way to look at it. And I think if everybody looked at it in that way, we'd be much happier to stay at home for longer. So I think that was a really good point there, Mim, actually. I like that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for everyone to adjust getting more back to normal, if anything. I think by the time lockdown's finished, everyone's going to be fully adjusted to what is and staying in. I think we're all going to think twice about going out naturally, even when things are back to normal.
I think a lot of companies as well started working majority of their people from home. Are these companies going to get everybody back into an office? Are they going to have 50% of their workforce at home? Are they going to have 50% at work? I think all of these kind of unanswered questions will obviously be going through people's head at the minute. And I think it's just to sort of reassure people that companies will be looking at this and they'll be finding the best solution for everyone. So just keep doing what you're doing and the right answers will come up.
As horrible as this whole situation is as well, I think it's about focusing on the positives in terms of it's bringing people together. And hopefully we'll maintain that after lockdown. It's being more considerate of the things, the wants and the needs, and separating those, and just being there for each other in general, really. So I think it's about focusing on the positives that will come out of this and that hopefully we'll maintain after lockdown.
Yeah, definitely. I think that just brings me on to my next point that I wanted to raise of the clapping on a Thursday night for all of key workers. I hope you've both been outside clapping on a Thursday night.
Yeah, I've had my pans going.
Yeah, fantastic. Making a racket. This is something that I wanted to raise of actually when all of this is finished, I don't see why this should end. Actually, if we dedicated a day to go out and clap for all of the key workers that have actually seen us through this crisis, I don't see any reason why that should end just because the pandemic has ended. I think actually that's something that we could continue indefinitely. I don't know how you two feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really nice idea, that is, to keep clapping for the key workers and to sort of remember what they've done for us, because it is often that they go unappreciated. So hopefully the appreciation for those carries on after lockdown, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. It is a really good thing to do, even though it's not a lot in return for what they're giving. But I don't know. I think it would be nice if it did. I'm a bit more skeptical. I think maybe for a bit. And I think, I don't know, I think something more needs to be done to thank them. So as much as the clapping is nice and I'm sure they appreciate it, I just feel like something more needs to be done. I don't know what as such yet. Come back to me in a minute. But yeah, I think...
I definitely get where you're coming from with that. And I think the worry for me, and I think this is where you're going with your point, Ed, is that when this is all finished, everybody just goes back to how it was before this happened. And I think it's so important that we remember that we've been through this, and we remember that actually them people that are stacking the shelves in Tesco or Asda, they're the people actually that we also need to be thankful to. It isn't just the doctors and nurses who are doing an amazing job in all the hospitals around the country, but actually the people that are still managing to put food on our plates, they're just as important in all of this. And I think it's really important that we don't forget that just because we've come out the other end.
Yeah, no, it needs to become part of a new culture and a new community kind of aspect when all of this finishes and everyone's sticking together. And like you said, remembering what we've all been through and who we've got to thank for getting through it. But yeah, for me, it's a case of how long does it last until everything kind of gets back to normal and people start forgetting and get stuck in their daily kind of hectic lives again.
I think it's hard really to put a timestamp on things, but I think if we all remain mindful of those people, I'd hope that it will carry on forever. But as Ed said, it's difficult when people are getting back into the normal routines and their everyday life takes over. But I think going back to the clapping, it'd be good to sort of dedicate a day so that doesn't happen and we do remember the good that people have done.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it should be led from the top again. I think this is where the government should lead by example and put something in place so it's a thing on the news at that time every night, and it carries on, so people are reminded and know to do that. Not that people will necessarily forget, but just for it to become routine. Or I feel like the government needs to step up a bit and lead.
Yeah, 100%. I think if that reminder is out there for everybody every week that this is the new norm. This is what we now do on whatever night of the week. Where I know it's a Thursday at the moment, say it stays as a Thursday. Every Thursday night at that time, everybody is to go out and we're all going to clap for all of the people that got us through this pandemic, because we will get through it. For everyone that helped and played their part, we're clapping for them. And I think, like you say, I think the longer that goes on, the more people will remember that actually the values that we stood for during that time and the way that we should act. Because I think a lot of people have probably changed their ways during this time. I think pretty much everybody has had to change their ways during this time. And a lot of good has come from it. You've seen out in the communities that people are taking all sorts of medication and food to elderly people who can't leave the house. And that's amazing. And I just don't think we should be forgetting that in a hurry.
No, I think, I agree. That should carry on. I think big organisations as well. So I know that the Matchroom who work with Sky Boxing, they're giving like free tickets to all boxing events. Again, like skipping the queues at supermarkets is a nice thing. And I think they'll appreciate more like them little gestures more than a clap. But I think as well, going back to normal, so something like NHS parties on behalf of them will be nice things to kind of get trending online and film, and we're having a party to thank all the key workers and stuff like that. So we can get more, adventurous and thinking outside the box when things are back to normal in ways to thank them more than just a clap.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so just linking to that point as well, we have had a question in just with regards to changing from homeschooling to going back into schools and universities. Basically, just how am I going to cope with that change is the question that's come in. So, Mim, if you could just have a think about that one for me. I know you're going through similar kind of situation at the minute. So if you could talk through what you're going through and how best to cope with that.
Yeah, so I'm currently studying in my in my second year at university, and I have struggled a lot with the adaptation from sort of being in there and having the resources available in terms of the library, working as a group, all those sort of things. I am getting into a routine now, being more independent with my studies, and I think the worry for me is when I go back, how am I going to go back to sort of getting used to those things again. So it'll have been a long time since I've used the library, it'll have been a long time since I've been sitting in lectures and things like that. But I think the positives we've got to take from that is that from the lockdown we've learned how to be more independent workers and learners and be more disciplined with ourselves. So I've struggled with getting up in the morning and being strict and doing my work and stuff, but I think getting into that routine is really positive. And I'll be able to use that when I go back to uni. So sort of not being distracted by my friends in lectures and being strict with myself. So I think we've got to focus on the good things there.
I wondered if because I'm not really in that situation, I just wondered, getting your point of view on how you'd feel when the restrictions are lowered and education is back open for everyone to go back into schools and unis, how comfortable you'd feel going straight back in, or would you kind of hold off and see what the reaction is, or what's your opinion on that, Mim, in terms of going back into uni as when everything's lifted? Will you still be quite anxious of the situation and if there's no vaccine straight away, or what?
Yeah, definitely. That will be a massive anxiety, I think, for me and a lot of other people. I will certainly still be socially distancing, even when lockdown has lifted. So in terms of, I'll try not to be in larger crowds and things like that for as long as possible. And I think it could be an anxiety for a lot of people, especially in places like schools and universities. But I think it's just being mindful that other people are feeling like that as well. So you're not alone in that. And if we follow government guidelines, then hopefully we'll be safe in going back when they think it's time.
Yeah, I guess that's it, isn't it? I was going to say maybe not just education kind of in schools and universities and colleges, it will be in general, because as soon as they lift the restrictions a bit, you think that everyone's just going to kind of rush out and everything's going to be back to normal. And I think as soon as they do that, it's going to be probably the most dangerous time, because people are going to start letting their guard down and forget. So I think it'll be really interesting when they do lift certain things, in what order they do that.
Definitely. I think everyone's just still got to be very mindful of that and still take precautions.
Yeah. So I was saying, until they have a vaccine, it's sort of, to still go out at your own risk.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know, if you are one of the unlucky ones that get it, you don't know how you're going to react to it, and that's a scary thing. But I think, like you said, as long as everyone's attitudes stay the same towards it and everyone takes them precautions, then it will be welcome, that kind of lift off the restriction a bit.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think it kind of links back into what we've been saying earlier on, of it's the new way of living, the new community that we're out now all in and we're all a part of. It's about making sure that maintains its place, and making sure that we're all still acting in the same sensible way that we should be doing. If the government says it's safe to go out and it's safe to go back to university, but we need to be keeping our distance, it's important that we do that we do make sure that we are going, so that we are out and about and that we're getting that fresh air that we need. But also, like Mim was saying, that we are still social distancing, because we don't all want to suddenly be rushing out and then the problem just arises again. So yeah. I think it's just following the advice that we're given at the end of the day.
Definitely. And also not becoming too anxious in terms of not wanting to leave the house, because it could quite quickly become an issue for a lot of people. So it's about being mindful, but also not letting it take over your life, and still trying to do the things that you enjoy, so it doesn't become something that takes over and that controls you, because it could be sort of a worry for a lot of people.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's can be quite scary watching the news all the time, and a lot of the negative stats that they pull out all the time. But like you just said, Mim, I think it's really important you don't let that kind of take over your life, and you do find that right balance.
Okay, so the last question that we had sent in for us for this week as well was, what will the mental health landscape look like once this pandemic ends? And will the profile be as high a priority as it is right now? So Mim, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, so I think during lockdown, obviously there's been a lot of people that have been isolated, and it's understandable that people's mental health can be affected by that. And I think it's good that it's been recognised, so people are checking up on each other and they're genuinely meaning it when they're asking, how are you? Are you okay? So I would hope that after lockdown is lifted, people are still mindful of people that may be feeling a certain way, or that also may not be displaying that they're feeling that certain way. It's just about checking up on each other regardless of whether you know that someone struggles with their mental health or not, and being more considerate about how we interact as humans in general. I think a lot of people have become stuck in this sort of selfish rut, and I think lockdown for a lot of people has made people mindful of others and be less selfish. So I would hope that carries on. In terms of the NHS, we've all pulled together, and I think that the support that we're giving them, they will definitely, like, we're recognising all these people that are stuck at home, and obviously, like, we're giving a lot to the NHS, so you would think that the government would want to give back and put more into place for mental health, if that makes sense. Because everyone's outside clapping and stuff, it enhances the fact that we're all in the same position, and that people are struggling, and the fact that we're all coming together, and it doesn't matter whether you're struggling with your mental health issues or whether you're not. It's about all coming together and making sure that we maintain that after lockdown. So just checking up on people regardless whether you know they're struggling or not. It's just about, just as a good human, like, asking, are you okay, and genuinely meaning it.
I think what you're sort of kind of referring to is, if you're one of those that kindly volunteering and delivering food to older people who are more at risk, they're not forgotten when everything's back to normal.
Yeah, just because you appear, in quotations, okay, do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean that people shouldn't check up on you, because you might not be. But as a nation at the minute, we're checking up on everyone because we genuinely care. I think that needs to carry on.
So
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's a great point actually, because you can definitely see some vulnerable people going under the radar when everyone's got back to their busy lives again, can't you? And and obviously, mental health doesn't just go away once the pandemic ends. You know, it carries on. So
I think it's been heightened at the minute, so it needs to carry on that way.
So if all of a sudden everyone goes back to busy lives, everything's back to normal, well, someone's mental health just doesn't do that. So, you know, they still need to have the support there for them after it.
Yeah. When lockdown has finished, like James said earlier with the clapping and stuff, I think that should carry on, because for a lot of people at the minute, people that are especially struggling with their mental health, that might be the one thing that they're really looking forward to that week, and the social interaction of it, the uplifting of it. Do you know what I mean? Everything about it might be the only thing that someone has to look forward to. So I think something does need to be in place after lockdown, just so that those people that may have been struggling before or during lockdown still have something like that, because for that to just be taken away from them after lockdown's lifted could be detrimental. Like that could be something that someone's like latched onto now, that's their happy thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I agree with that. And I think that, I don't know about anyone else, but when you see it on the news and it goes to all the different hospitals, all the different cities, it's quite emotional, because I've never seen anything like this where the whole country kind of pulls together.
Yeah.
And then you see everyone on the same page, all supporting the same thing. It's really nice to see. And I definitely...
Yeah, it's uplifting. It's his uplifting, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
It is when you see them positive stories. And with regards to Tom Moore, that's raised, what is it now? Is it over 27 million? I think he's now managed to raise for the NHS from walking 100 laps of his garden, and to see like him on the news and see how happy it's made him, and the difference that money is going to make. Like just to see that, I just feel uplifted just watching that. I just think it's amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah, it makes me smile every time, because it's just like I say, you've never seen it apart from probably, I don't know, not that it's anything close, or it shouldn't be compared to, but when England get to like through in a World Cup or Euros, do you know what I mean? It's kind of
that fever that comes with it. Yeah,
it's got that kind of good vibe around it, where everyone's really kind of on the same page. Everyone's really like pulling together. Again, not that it should be compared, but I'm just trying to kind of make some relation to the way people are reacting and
how the country feels at that moment. Yeah. I get what you mean.
Yeah. So no, definitely, and 100%, Mim, I agree. It should definitely carry on forever, and it should be kind of in the history books of that's why we do it.
Okay, thank you for that then, guys. So that pretty much wraps up today's podcast. I would just like to remind everyone that we are on Facebook chat each day, Monday to Friday. The times are on our Facebook page. And we are also now launching our Instagram chat. So if you wanted to come on there and have a chat with some of our coaches, just to fill a few hours, or if you've got any questions, that's a great way to get them through to us so we can help. I know me and Mim will be on there on a Wednesday, 5 till 7. So if you did want to speak to us specifically, then you can come on then. But that's pretty much it from us for today. So thank you very much for listening again. Thank you for me, and thank you from Ed and Mim.